Fun and games. Oh. It's actually really nice working with the garage door open, but cars go past, it's so bloody loud. So anyway, welcome back to the Motorcycle Garage. We are working on this Scrambler today. So this is a Scrambler I took to the Malle Mile last year, and it performed great up until the last day, and then there was an issue during one of the races where it just died. Tried to fix it when we were away, no success unfortunately. So obviously did what everyone else would do in those scenarios and just take the bike back and dump it in the garage and not look at it for, Christ, almost 10 months. So Malle Mile is coming again this year, July, middle of July. So plan is to try and figure out what the hell went wrong on this. So initial thoughts when I was doing this, I thought it was a coil pack. I didn't have a spare coil at the time, but there wasn't much I could really do with the parts that I had. So ended up, it wasn't the coil. I got a new coil when I came home and checked that, just because I was still a little bit between my teeth. But then also I thought, right, it might be the capacitor discharge ignition here, as it's, Christ, 35 years old, so those electrics aren't always going to be the best. So I picked up another one from some provider. If anyone needs it, I'll check it for works first, but it came from Belgium, and it was pretty quick delivery and everything else, so pretty cheap, pretty reasonable. So the other thing was, so I have since stripped this apart. I meant to start a video, I did not start the video, I just kind of got stuck in. So to bring you up to speed, this bike I rewired when I rebuilt it. The original wiring was a bloody train wreck. Now my own job is a bit of a train wreck as well, because I did this first time ever wiring a bike. I managed to make it work, but it didn't work very well. Everything works. Interesting thing about this bike is it's a 6-volt system. So it's got a kind of like it's got your typical charging system, but it's 6 volts. So it's almost like half the bike can run without a battery and alternator set up. So it runs off its own power for the capacitor discharge ignition. So if I didn't want indicators, for example, and a horn and all the things that you need to make yourself road legal, I could actually just do this without a battery, which I may do for the Malle Mile. I'm not decided yet, but this particular model, the 34K I think it is, it's a model that Yamaha released that has like a 6-volt system, so a small 6-volt battery that can be charged. So essentially the stator kicks out current that then goes into this half diode thing here, which apparently changes the output voltage, I guess, from AC or into DC. I don't know. It allows you to charge the battery, which all the other ones on a 12-volt system, and they make a lot more sense. And to be honest, it would have been nice to get a 12-volt system, but then you need to change the stator, you need to change everything else. So I kind of made do with this bike for a while, but it means the 6-volt system, and you're out in the road, your lights aren't very bright, you're very limited if you want to try and change your indicators, because you're just having to use these incandescent turd of candles for indicators and everything else. So yeah, long story short, I am sat here looking at something I wired 6 years ago, and currently I've got Climber's manual, which has wiring diagrams in it, but lucky me, it doesn't have the 6-volt bastardized system that we are currently using. And then I've got a pen and paper. I'm also getting a phone call just now, but I'm getting a pen and paper and I'm just writing. I know this worked. This worked happily. I was able to ride it on the road. I was able to start it and everything else. I know how the bike works. So knowing what works, I'm just taking a note of all the components and all the wires and everything that goes in there. Because ideally, I'd quite like to just make this less of a turd. I mean, I don't know why I decided to use a long terminal block to try and use that as a means of connecting everything together. And then I've got this earth position here that then takes this rec. So like this regulator rectifier just goes to a dead end. It's really odd. I'm not really sure why. I'll just stop that phone call in a moment. It goes to this regular rectifier. I'm not really sure why, because nothing comes out the other side there. So it took a little bit of a minute to get my head around. I'm still not entirely sure how it all works. The point being, luckily the CDI that I've bought has all the right wires and everything, so I could in theory just change this out. What I would rather like to do though, initially, is make sure I can find, I think I've got another one of these connectors, the male version of this connector, somewhere in my parts. So I might just see if I can split out the CDI type mumbo jumbo and make sure that it's easy to take off, almost with the 5-7 wires that we've got here. And then once I'm done that and I'm happy I've separated that system out, take a long hard look at how I've actually built this wiring system, because I think there's probably simpler ways to do it. I'm just going to bare all here, but if you look up here, it just turns into a steaming pile of shit that if you want to remove one component, it's just not very good. I started to try and change it last year before Malle Mile, and then I realised I need a bike that works, and in its current form it did work. Just because it's ugly doesn't mean it didn't work. So, but now I've got a little bit of time, I'd quite like to try and get this sorted. So purpose of this video is exactly that. Try and get the spark back, make sure that, yeah, for me in videos, but as well as the bike, try and make sure we've got the spark, make sure the thing can run. And then if it does run, then it's a case of, okay, well, what do we need to do next to actually make this a little bit more serviceable and manageable before, in the 2 months that we've got coming up to the Malle Mile again. So that's one thing. There's still a engine that I've not managed to get away to the vapor blasters yet. Life has been rather hectic. So being back in the garage, clearing my feet a little bit and allowing me to get on this will be a nice project to get up and running again. So stay tuned. Hopefully this will be interesting enough, and yeah, let's see how it goes. So first things first, I will be stripping out all of these cables to try and get this running by itself again. I just want to check there's nothing untoward on the other side of this terminal block. Make sure it all lines up nicely with what it should line up with, i.e. the various wiring diagrams that I have. Yeah. And then I'm going to see if I can find one of these connectors. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with any of that, I don't think, but it's just, I think when I was so pushed for space, heat shrinking and extending lines, because I relocated the battery box, it was almost a place that needed a foot extra wire, rather than being interdispersed through the frame. Everything kind of needed to get tucked back into the battery box. But I think I'll have a look at the actual stator and then see, because that's everything coming from the stator is these cables. So if there's a way to almost run cables without the connection, I don't know, it might not even need to change it. I'm just intrigued to see what my thought process was from a few years ago. So was I high? It may look like a different day, and it is. However, in all the time that's passed, I haven't done anything on the bike. And Malle Mile is now a mere 3.5 weeks away. Yay! Maybe 3.5 weeks? I can't remember. It's pretty close. Why is this goddamn screen upside down? Anyway, let's have a quick recap. I have got my old ignition unit, new ignition unit. I have got a spaghetti junction of wires, and I have a super seal connector kit, which I am going to start making cables. I made a note of a lot of the wiring loom and what that looks like, so hopefully I can combine the two of them to some kind of metal montage, and you can ignore all the swearing and the aggro that's going to happen in the background between now and next time we pick up this video, when I should hopefully have the inside of that battery box rewired. Now, the aim is to be able to just have more robust connections inside the battery box, rather than using this horrible, I'll show you it, I don't care, horrible turd of a wiring job. But it was all I knew at the time. But ideally I'd like to get these things connected up this week, so that I can prove that I've got spark, prove that I've solved the issue, and then I can get to looking at some of the other difficult bits in this bike, which is that ruddy grey oil leak. So I found a machine shop locally. I think I'm going to get them to skim the cylinder head and the top of the cylinder block. I'll see if I can get a new gasket. I'll see what my gasket looks like. It's annoying that there's so many goddamn leaks, but if I take that back to the start, then nice flat surfaces either side. I'm going to see if I can get them also. I think I mentioned this before, but this exhaust stud snapped because my fat finger is tightening too much, because I didn't think it was tightening. So that's an M6 bolt. I'd like a stud that sits in it. It's an M6 stud. I'm wondering, but they set at funny angles. But I'm wondering if I can get them to just drill that out to say like 6.5 mil. I might even be able to drill it out to 6.5 mil, so I can then tap it with an M8 and then get some M8 studs instead. So just increase the robustness in and around that exhaust outlet. God, I should have done something before now. Not to worry, let's get started with the mental montage. Metal montage, you fucking... Right, bye-bye. Enjoy. Oh, there it is. There's a runway at the bottom of my garden. It's not mine. There's a plane. Oh fuck, where have you gone? Okay, maybe you can see this. Don't know if I can zoom in or not. It's a GoPro, don't be silly. Just there. It's cool. Here's my new deck that I've been building. Hence why I've not been doing much else. It's really fun in sidetrack. It's really fun in the summer when all those planes use the runway. There was such a hairy landing one day, because it's what appears to be amateur pilots, and the yeah, you had to go around, which I'm sure was absolutely terrifying, but it was amusing when you're sat with a few beers watching people try and land in windy weather. Onwards. Okay, That took a little bit longer. Seemed to be an issue getting them seated on this side. However, that took a little bit longer than I would have liked, but it's one down, probably another 4 or 5 of those style connections I think to go. There's a little bit of spaghettis up here that would be nice to get into a place where I can connect and disconnect easier, but main priority is just obviously to get this thing working. So I'll go and throw a few bullet connectors on, and I should in theory be able to kick this over. In theory. Wish me luck. I can't remember if I showed this, but I'm pretty sure this spaghetti junction wasn't a great idea either. We'll get there. Hey, it used to run, so can't be that bad. Okay, so wired in the ignition coil. Now I need to figure out these two little bastards and where they go. But having a look at a sketch that I made before I ripped this apart, I've got an idea where they go, but to get this thing functioning I need to do a little bit more on neatening up the battery box and some of these cables here. So I'm not going to do that tonight because I don't want to start something and then forget halfway through as to what I was doing. And you kind of need to be in that mindset for doing these kind of jobs. You need to just have them and do them and finish them. So don't want to start doing that and get confused. So I will probably park this for tonight and come back out tomorrow. I don't know if I've showed people this before, but this battery box is probably enough to stop a bullet. It's so heavy. It's like 3.5, maybe even 4 mil thick steel. That's all I had at the time. It was really forgiving to weld, and it's too small. Everything gets cramped in. It's an absolute turd of a thing. It sits neatly underneath here, but yeah, not ideal. So that may be due a slight bit of modification. The way it kind of hangs in the frame isn't ideal either. It sits bolted off here and these two bits here, which is okay. It's functional, but it's not. Don't know. I think like it would be nice to have more room for like all my earthing cables, so I could maybe run an earthing bus bar rather than having everything attached with a single nut here. Again, the bike was functional and it did run. It's just looking at it going, and trying not to whitey when I sit at this train wreck of spaghetti that's in front of me. So anyway, we'll come back and see what else we can do in the next few days. Wish me luck. So it's another day. I unfortunately did not have much success getting the spark. Then I've been running around in circles since then trying to figure out why. So a few things I've eliminated. Initially when I had the issues on the bike, I thought it was a coil, so I've got a new coil with a new HT lead. I've got my new CDI. I'm not 100% convinced by these knockoff Super Seal connectors, to be honest. It's actually given me a bit of doubt as to whether they're fully sealing and connecting. So I've stripped out a lot of the stuff I don't need based off the original wiring diagram. But only other thing I'm going to look at now is just the stator itself to see if anything's kind of shifted or things maybe moved about a little bit because of the off-road riding. It's a very real possibility, but yeah, we'll see. So I'm going to go strip this cover off and start again from first principles, just double checking everything. There's literally no reason this shouldn't work, especially with a brand new CDI. I highly doubt that that wouldn't be working, although stranger things. So yeah, you will see some fault finding. If there's anything of use, I will obviously share that, but we'll just set up another little time lapse and go from there. So let's do this. So, a quick bit of Googling, as you can imagine, doesn't leave for copious amounts of parts for 1989 Scramblers. And the reason I was Googling is because there's a bit of damage across here. Now I think that may have been by the screws. This bit stays fixed as this rotor turns. So if there's anything kind of getting stuck, hitting off this. Now, I'm wondering whether I can just... So this is like potting fluid or something. It's kind of like a resin that they put around this. I'm not entirely sure what exactly it is. But I'm assuming it's quite critical to stop any erroneous current or whatever that's generated when the stator and the magnet do its thing, to generate enough power and current to power the rest of the system in the bike without a battery. So it's probably not ideal to have these little holes here. So I'm wondering if I can do something temporarily just to kind of cover it. I'll have a little bit of a look, but on one hand I'm glad that I found this issue, because I was driving myself insane trying to do stuff up top. But on the other hand, it's a bit frustrating, so because I now need to figure out how to fix it, and if I can't fix it, where do I get parts to allow a fix to be put in place. So we'll pick this up once I've got a bit better of a clue as to what we're going to do, but somewhat positive but a bit frustrating, especially as time is of the essence. So yeah, we'll see. Woo-hoo. Alright, that's been curing overnight, so hopefully it's worked. It looks okay. It's hard to tell in the video, but when you feel it, it's got a good seal over these blow spits, a generator, whatever you want to call it. So
I'm going to put this back together in the bike and try and wire it up like I had before. I think it was right. And then I'll have to put this rocker cover back on, but I think I need a new gasket. So I'll have to just put it on, hope for the best. I'm not planning to start it at the moment, so it's more just to reassemble it enough to see that I've got sparks, so it should be okay. There's no oil kind of getting anywhere. So yeah, let's get it back together and I'll progress so far and see whether we've got spark at the end. So wish me luck. Essentials. I'm back in here. Right. Not being as productive as I would have liked. Essentially, nothing seemed to work, despite the fact that rechecked all my wiring, double checked a few things. One thing that was throwing me was the continuity of the kill switch. So the kill switch makes a connection rather than breaks the connection. So I incorrectly assumed with the CDI that you had to make that, because I wired the kill switch out because I didn't know if it was a source of confusion or not. By connecting up that wire, it shouldn't have been connected, whether I was causing additional issues or not, but it wasn't that at all. What it appears to be is, having fault found and spent a bit of time with the multimeter, it's that coil so there's a pickup coil which I've tested, which is the one that takes off the magnetic flywheel that's got the pickup bits on the outside. So that's okay, that all those came out in spec, but it was the source coil in here. Now, source coil is not the same as the other coil, the ignition coil. So I think it could be the damage that happened on that winding that I tried to just make go away with the resin, tried to get lucky with that. So I'm now in a bit of a dilemma where, let's get away from this noisy cars. Got barbecue on as well. I'm now in a bit of a dilemma where I'm not really sure what to do. I have either the option to try and get the coil repaired by a guy in England, which could take 10 days, and hopefully it works, or I could Rufus, stop trying to eat the barbecue food. There he is. Or I could try to buy a 6 to 12 volt conversion kit, which Kido do in Germany, but that comes at a great cost. It's fucking 500 quid almost to get this thing. Now, I have expressed before that it would be nice to get my bike running on 12 volt system, but I'd like that rather to be a choice that I make rather than being driven into that. So I need to have a think. I'm going to speak to these people tomorrow, both Kido and the guy that does the coil repairs, see what his thoughts are, take some pictures of the coil, kind of build a case as to what's happened. But yeah, bit annoying. Really hope to get that done because the engine is still not 100%. It's got an oil leak. I'd quite like to get that fixed, but part of me was just waiting on checking I had a spark before I committed to taking the cylinder head off and putting like a copper gasket on. I might just do that anyway now, but anyway, gonna call this video for now. I'm gonna sip a beer and make some sweet barbecue, and yeah, come back hopefully in the next week or so with another video. Nothing quite like a condensed timeline to focus the mind. Anyway, thanks for sticking around if you did. If not, fuck you. And for everyone else, like, comment and subscribe, and anyone got any ideas, let me know in the comments, that'd be good. Speak to you soon.